Now, this is a CT scan of the brain, which shows very clear cut and crisp findings. Now, we are seeing that this is the left side and this is the right side of the brain. So, this portion will be left, this portion will be right. Now, what we can very clearly notice is in the left side of the brain, there is a hyperdense lesion. And we already seen that any hyperdense lesion on a CT scan brain, it either blood or calcium or bone. So this is definitely not a bone because it has to be on both side of the brain. Calcium, sudden onset of this much of calcium deposition is usually not possible. So any patient presenting with sudden onset of some symptoms, he has to have some bleed if this is the finding. So this definitely is bleed because blood appears as dense white as bone. So this is the bone density, radio density. This is very dense white, and this is also as dense as the bone. Now we can see that we can trace this blood here, 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 and in these all images up to here also. So it can be either hypertensive bleed, it can be either subarachnoid hemorrhage bleed, or it can be CVST, that is cortical venous sinus thrombosis bleed, because in CVST also we get bleed. Now, in cortical sinus venous thrombosis, it is not the only bleed which is the problem. It usually always have the infarct. So presence of infarct with bleed suggests CVST. In CVST, there will be an infarct and there will be bleed. And the CVST patients, they usually don't have any history of hypertension or diabetes. CVST is very common in females as well as male patients. So any young patient presenting with a hemorrhagic infarct or a radiodense as well as radio opaque lesion or a radiolucent lesion, we highly suggest CVST. And CVST usually it appears in the peripheral region. It won't actually appear in the middle of the brain, so it is very common. For hypertensive bleed, the most common site for hypertensive bleed is PTPC, that is putamen is the most common site for hypertensive bleed. So putaminal region is actually in this region. This is the putaminal area. Then T is thalamus. So this is the area of thalamus. This is the area of thalamus. Then P is pons, that is the brainstem structure. So this is the pons, this is the pons. These are the pons cuts, these are the pons levels. This is the pons area, which is in the midline. And this is C, that is cerebellum. So this is the cerebellar area. This is the cerebellar area. So these are the most common site of hypertensive bleed, and the patients usually always have high blood pressure history. Or if the blood pressure history or hypertension history is not there, the patient will always have presenting with high blood pressure. So ECG may show LVH with strain. Echo may show very commonly moderate to severe ventricular hypertrophy, or the blood pressure measurements can show that the patient has persistent high blood pressure. So these are the very common presentation of hypertensive bleed or the CVST, that is cortical venous sinus thrombosis bleed. Now, what in here, this doesn't look like a hypertensive bleed or CVST bleed. So this is a very typical area or very typical presentation of subarachnoid hemorrhage, because we know that MCA supplies start from here up to the here. This is the area of MCA. This is the area of MCA. This is the area of MCA. So we have uh, anterior cerebral artery which is supplies here, and this is posterior cerebral artery which supplies here. This is the typical area distribution. This is the ACA, this is the MCA, and this is the PCA, that is posterior cerebral artery supply. So in here what has happened, it is there is some bleed in typical MCA territory. So it has to be actually most probably the aneurysmal bleed, and the aneurysm is at the MCA bifurcation. So here there must be some ACA branch where there must be some bifurcation where there would have been an aneurysm which ruptured and which caused the bleeding here. So the patient had sudden onset of unconsciousness and the patient fell off, and after having a fall, we can very nicely make out that this patient not only has the subarachnoid hemorrhage, but the patient also has the SDH. If you can notice, there is very fine rim of the blood here, which is on the left side only. So there is fine rim, thin rim of blood, a dense white structure inside the skull, which suggests that the patient also had subdural hemorrhage also, because the subdural hemorrhage usually have concavo-convex appearance, whereas extradural hemorrhage they will simply have the convex boundaries. So in here it is not pure convex, but it is actually the concavo-convex bleed is there, which we can very nicely make out. Like it is like this. So this is because of the fall, and this bleed is because of the rupture of the aneurysm which he must be having, and it was diagnosed also that the bifurcation of the MC branch had that aneurysm on the CT angiography of the brain. So this is not only showing these, this is also showing some other findings, like this is the midline, this is the midline, this is the midline. So the left-sided ventricles, they are not able to, we are not able to visualize them very well. Here, the left-sided ventricle, we are not able to visualize because it is all compressed because of the edema and subdural hemorrhage. So there is definitely shifting of the brain towards the right side. There is edema, and that is compressing the lateral ventricle significantly. So here also the lateral ventricle, the posterior horn is not visible, and this lateral ventricle has almost come to right side of the brain. So there is midline shifting. You can notice here also there is midline shifting. There is ventricular compression, brain compression. So this patient has subarachnoid hemorrhage, subdural hemorrhage, cerebral edema, midline shift, so many findings. And that's all for now, and thank you.